Welcome back to Moonlight Press and to this, which is the final video in this particular series of videos. I'm Professor Parsons and I'm the in-house writing teacher at Moonlight Press. I'm a writing teacher and a writer and have been for over 30 years. And this series has been a series of videos to accompany my book, Permission to Write. These videos have been about the myths and realities of writing and publishing in the 21st century. And now it's time to recap. I'm going to do this by presenting to you 10 new awful truths about publishing in the 21st century. I'm going to continue to play devil's advocate and present you with 10 awful truths that were inspired by my own experience, but also by a book I've had in my collection since the 1980s when it was published. It's this one, The Awful Truth About Publishing by publishing executive John Boswell. So allow me to present to you, with apologies to John Boswell, 10 new awful truths for the unknown writer. Awful truth number 1. The odds of achieving fame and fortune through your writing and publishing are a bit like your chances of winning the lottery. It could happen, but, well, you know the odds. Remember what I told you back in video 1? Only 0.7% of self-published writers and 1.3% of traditionally published writers make more than $100,000 a year. And most self-published authors sell fewer than 100 books. Awful truth number 2. Landing a contract with a traditional publisher is an accomplishment, to be sure, but it does not predict a career as a rich and famous writer. 1 million books are published every year in the United States alone, with half of those being traditionally published. Barely 2% of books published sell more than 5,000 copies. Awful truth number 3. Finding ideas to write about is actually easy. Finding good ideas to write about is hard. If you want to write a book, it's likely that you want to publish that book. If you want to publish that book, then presumably you want others to read it. Publishing means to make something public. If it's important to you to make your writing public, then it ought to be important to you for it to be something that others might read. Otherwise, keep it to yourself. You need great ideas. Awful truth number 4. You probably don't write as well as you think you do. Most of us don't. If you don't believe me, go back to video number 3 where I gave chapter and verse on this one. No matter who you are or how much you've written in your life, you can always improve your writing. And if you don't embrace this concept, you will never be a great writer. Awful truth number 5. Spending too much time in online writing communities can create a dangerous codependency. There is nothing more time and life-sucking than getting caught up in online writing communities. If you join them, do it with your eyes wide open and the awareness that honesty is the last thing you can expect from your so-called friends there. And also keep in mind that other wannabe writers are not the best sources of feedback on your work. Awful truth number 6. It may be easy enough to self-publish, at least the mechanics are easy, but the competition is grueling. You also need to be aware that most self-publishing companies build their business models on selling you services, not on helping you to create fabulous books that people will want to buy. Awful truth number 7. Publishers will probably reject you. This isn't a new truth, it's always been this way. The most awful part of this, I think, is that around 90% of queries are rejected by the publisher just on the basis of the query letter. If you make this cut, though, your chances of having your manuscript rejected are still around 80%. That's just the way it is. Awful truth number 8. Just because you have thousands of Twitter and Instagram followers doesn't mean they will buy your book. At some point in your writing career, this might change, but in the beginning, it is so true. Now, on the other hand, if you happen to be a non-fiction writer with a well-established reputation in your area of expertise, like a well-known doctor, lawyer, or business person, well, then it might actually help. Awful truth number 9. Authors, regardless of how they are published, are required to market and promote their own books. Here's a truth. Books don't sell themselves. And if you want anyone to read your book, this is a truth you're going to have to be prepared to deal with. Awful truth number 10. Writing and publishing a great book is hard work. In spite of all the online advice that tells you there are 10 easy ways to write and publish and the like, don't be fooled. Writing is hard work, publishing is hard work. Lazy people need not apply. So that's it. These 10 truths summarize the gist of this series that we've just finished. If you missed any of the videos in the series, just go back. If you've watched all the videos in the series and you still want to write a book after all of that honesty, then you probably should write that book. So I want you to stay tuned to Moonlight Press because you're going to see new series coming up that are going to provide tips and how-tos for writers to make you the best writer you can possibly be. So subscribe to the Moonlight Press channel and I'll see you soon.